I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the clerk please read the statement?
This is a meeting of the Township Council for Monday, April 8, 2019. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 3, 2019, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Roll call.
Councilmember Coombs?
Here.
Councilmember Carreri?
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Here.
Councilmember Allberger?
Here.
Council President Murphy.
Here. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple proclamations this evening. The first one is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a complex and ongoing problem in our society, affecting many children in Sussex County, and whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, feel secure, and to be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. And whereas child abuse and neglect not only directly harm children, but also increase the likelihood of criminal behavior, substance abuse, health problems, and risky behavior. And whereas the efforts of child abuse are felt by communities as a whole and need to be addressed by the entire community. Whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Vernon does proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and calls upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live. Given under my hand in these free United States in the Township of Vernon on this 8th day of April 2019, and to which I have caused the seal of the Township of Vernon to be affixed and have made this proclamation public. Harry J. Shortway, Mayor. Jean Murphy, Council President. Our next proclamation is for Earth Day. Whereas the first Earth Day was celebrated on April 22, 1970, with the goal of inspiring environmental awareness and encouraging the conservation and appreciation of our nation's natural resources. Whereas it is the responsibility of each of us to safeguard the environment by recognizing that all human life depends upon the earth and upon one another for our mutual existence, well-being, and development. And whereas the steps we can take to protect and preserve our natural environment through education, partnership, and positive actions should be encouraged in Vernon. And whereas the residents of the Township of Vernon are committed not only to the protection and preservation of our environment, but also to the restoration of ecotourism and habitat. And whereas the residents of the Township of Vernon, staff, and elected officials have worked closely with federal, state, and local governments and with non-governmental organizations to develop and implement regulations and ordinances specifically designed to preserve and improve Vernon's fragile ecosystem and the quality of life therein. And whereas Vernon proudly recognizes all who participate in Earth Day for their dedication to taking a proactive role in shaping the future of our environment and in protecting Vernon's precious natural resource. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, have hereby proclaimed April 22nd, 2019 to be Earth Day. Further, the Council urges all citizens to be mindful of local, state, and national laws which protect our environment, and to join in efforts to preserve the beauty and wonder of the lands, skies, and water of the earth in all its diversity. Harry J. Shortway, Mayor. Jean Murphy, Council President. Next one we have is Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month. Councilmember Ohms, if you would please read that.
Sure. Whereas Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological movement disorder of the central nervous system, which has a unique impact on each patient, and whereas according to the Parkinson's Action Network, the Parkinson's Disease Foundation, the National Parkinson's Foundation, the American Parkinson's Disease Association, and the National Institute of Health, there are over 1 million Americans diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And whereas symptoms include slowness, tremor, difficulty with balance and speaking, rigidity, cognitive problems, and memory problems. And whereas although new medicines and therapies may enhance life for some time for people with Parkinson's, more work is needed for a cure. And whereas increased education and research are needed to help find more effective treatments with fewer side effects and ultimately a cure for Parkinson's disease. And whereas a multidisciplinary approach to Parkinson's disease care includes local wellness, support, and caregiver groups, and whereas April has been proclaimed as Worldwide Parkinson's Awareness Month for all to recognize the need for more research and help in dealing with this devastating effects of Parkinson's disease. Now and therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Township of Vernon do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month in Vernon Township. Given under my hand in these free United States in the Township of Vernon on this 8th day of April 2019, and to which I have caused the seal of the Township of Vernon to be affixed and have made this proclamation public. Harry J. Shortway, Mayor. G. Murphy, Council President.
Thank you. Next, we have our public comments. May I have a motion to open to public?
Motion.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? If there's anyone from the public that would like to step forward, make any comments, it's on agenda items only, please step forward.
Sally Rinker, Vernon. Is this a setup for the budget presentation tonight? Will there be a presentation? So, I hope we hear, amongst other information, the percent of the budget increase. How much bonding do you plan for? What's the amount of the bonding that you have in store for us? What is the median home price and amount of tax increase on that and the dollar amount? And also, if you would address the emergency services, if there are any increases or decreases for the fire departments or the EMT squads. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to step forward? Any comments? No. Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close?
Motion. Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Next, we'll move on to our minutes. May I have a motion to adopt the following minutes: a special meeting minutes of March 11, 2019, the executive session meeting minutes of March 11, 2019, and the regular meeting minutes of March 11, 2019.
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Ong?
Yes.
Councilmember Carreri?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt minutes.
Okay, next we have our consent agenda. I'm going to separate out Resolution 19105. Are there any other resolutions?
And 19,
104?
104,
Okay.
and 105 for me.
Which ones are you pulling out? I'm sorry.
The 104 and 105.
Thank you.
Resolution 1998, refund for tax court judgment, L&R Equity. This gives a tax refund in accordance with court judgments. Resolution 1999, this awards contract for milling and paving roadway materials pursuant to state contract. Resolution 19100, this awards the paving materials for 2019. Resolution 19101, resolution awarding the HVAC project pursuant to the township bid. Resolution 1902, governing body, certification of compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records in employment decisions under Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This certifies the township will comply with the Civil Rights Act. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 1998 through 19102? May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Councilmember Guerrieri?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Wahlberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolutions 1999 through 103.
Okay, just for the record, there is no resolution 19103. Next, we have resolutions 19104. Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal service agreement with the Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority for the services of a chief financial officer and purchasing services. This renews the shared service agreement for 2019 and 20 with the MUA and adds purchasing services. Resolution 19105, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal service agreement with the Vernon Township Municipal Utilities Authority for administrative services. This renews the shared service agreement for 2019 and 2020 with the MUA for administration. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 19104 and 19105?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I have a question. On this, I know that the one that adds the purchasing, we're adding $25,000 for the purchasing from the MUA. Are the duties changing, have the duties changed in any way from from the purchasing that was originally happening through administration?
The purchasing should not have been happening through administration.
Okay,
or
that's
through
not my
finance.
question. I just asked,
So the purchasing is now officially being taken over by the finance department.
right? So my question is, the purchasing was being handled through finance, as far as I know, as far as, for at least a few years. But I'm just wondering, are the duties the same of what they were? Because I think that the purchasing was being handled, and then it went to the MUA, maybe for a month or two, I'm not sure, and now it was brought back.
The VTMUA had a specific resolution for their executive director that he was responsible for that. So because he was supposed to be responsible for that, my office should not have been doing and signing off on any of that purchasing. So that's why it
That's still not it.
sent back to them. As
That-
far as the duties that are concerned, I mean, I would be authorizing all the purchases. Any of the quotes would be solicited by my office. I think it's very clear in the agreement.
I didn't say the agreement was clear. I didn't say, all I'm asking is were these duties being handled in the same manner in 2018 and back? And
Portions of them were, and portions of them are new.
the new portions being automated?
Well, yeah, some of them are electronic. We're moving, the MUA is not fully electronic on purchasing as the township is currently. So there is going to be a move towards that so that the chairman of the Board of Commissioners can handle that electronically, so he doesn't have to come here. But as far as quote solicitation, that was not done in finance before. Filling out of quote sheets, that was not done by finance. Working with vendors, that was not done by finance before.
Right. So is Finance Department actually doing all the purchasing? I'm just, because I guess I'm going to, is like, the township uses Sean Canning. Are
For
we?
QPA, as the township's QPA.
Right. Now, will the MUA be requiring QPA services?
Not through Sean Kenning, they have their own QPA that they've appointed.
Okay.
Did the MUA vote on this? I mean, because this is a new contract, so did they vote
The MUA is
to?
going to vote afterwards. I spoke with their attorney about it, and he was
Didn't they vote on it?
he was okay with the township voting on this one first and then them voting on it again.
Okay.
Because it's just a continuation with the additional portion of the purchasing. They did vote on the purchasing portion.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? No? Roll call?
Councilmember Ooms?
Yes?
Councilmember Guerrieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Wahlberger?
Abstain.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass resolution 104 and 105.
Okay, next we have introduction of 2019 municipal budget, Resolution 19106. Resolution authorizing use of three-year average for tax collection rate and reserve for uncollected tax calculations. Establishes the township's reserve for taxes that are not paid by the property owners in the township. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 19106?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Member Holmes?
Yes.
Councilmember Carreri?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tran?
Yes.
Councilmember Wahlberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce or pass resolution 19106.
Next, we have our presentation for the 2019 municipal budget. Council Mayor Shortway and CFO Bright will be presenting, or I guess,
Turned itself off. Towards you. Just want to make sure. Okay. Good evening, council members, Mayor Shortway, Administrator Volker, and residents. I'll be highlighting the 2019 municipal budget, and what I want to focus on tonight is how the numbers translate into services that municipal government provides. We'll be focusing on the municipal portion of the budget since we have no control over the school or county portions. Vernon is a four-season community with something to offer everyone. One of the best features this township has is its beauty, and it radiates through all 4 seasons. The views from various points in town are exceptional. The opportunities to spend time in nature are endless. Take a drive along 565 after hiking at the Wildlife Refuge during the spring, and you can see for miles out to High Point State Park. Take a walk up Stairway to Heaven, and you'll find it certainly worth the climb during any season. In the spring, summer, and fall, there are so many places to hike and bike and spend time outdoors. In the winter, we have more than one location to set up for skiing, snowboarding, tubing, and other winter activities. The possibilities here in our hometown are endless. So what's the alternative? There are plenty of areas in New Jersey that look more like this, and so many have moved into Vernon or opted to remain in town to avoid the cramped lifestyle outside of Sussex County. Having more homes in your town, resulting in more taxpayers, could help defray the costs that municipalities are required to spend on services provided. But at what costs? High traffic? Loud noises? Cramped living? It's a far cry from the soothing sounds of our calming tree frogs singing at night along the flats and up Drew Mountain Road. Vernon Township has such wonderful natural resources that make our town unlike any other in the state. Vernon exudes tranquility with its numerous lakes, ponds, rivers, streams, and other natural wonders. Our township is comforting, relaxing, and feels like home in comparison to all the other typical metropolitan areas of New Jersey. Agriculture and farmland is another one of our resources in this town. We have so many wonderful farms and farm stands with fresh produce and healthy choices right in our own backyard. Paired with all the incredible outdoor recreation activities we offer, we were designated last year as a 2018 New Jersey Healthy Town in the Making. And while many people throughout New Jersey, including Vernon residents, must commute into more densely populated areas for work, not everyone is so lucky to have such a relaxing, healthy, and inviting environment they can call home. We are a population of 24,000 people spread out over 64 square miles of natural beauty, and the budget of Vernon is reflective of the size, its unique topography, and the population. The township budget for 2019 is $26,378,350. Total miscellaneous revenues account for roughly 1/3 of the revenue, with other 2/3 received from taxation. The average taxpayer will pay $1,477 per year for municipal services. According to an article in 2017, Vernon was listed as one of the best bargains in Sussex County, with the 5th lowest overall tax rate and the lowest rate for a township that has a police department. While New Jersey in general is a high property tax state, Vernon Township is controlling its costs and preparing its budget with the future of Vernon in mind. This year alone, we are seeing a decrease of over $100,000 in our operating costs. The increases you will see are strictly from debt service, capital, and our amount to be reserved for uncollected taxes. How can we equate a tax bill to other costs in our life? For a family of 4 that own smartphones, a monthly bill can easily cost $250 a month. That's an estimated $3,000 a year. The municipal tax bill for the average taxpayer in Vernon is less than half of that at $1,477. That equates to roughly $4.05 per day. So what does that get you here in Vernon? Here are all the services provided by the township. In order to run the everyday operations of the municipality and maintain the required offices, there are various departments within the town. These offices process building and zoning permits, food handler licenses, marriage licenses, birth and death certificates, OPA requests, court transactions, and animal licensing. They also collect taxes, assess values to the properties in town, process tax appeals, process farmland assessments, run the land use board, process invoices, and make deposits and handle payroll. All of these offices cost the average taxpayer 50 cents per day. As a township, we are required to carry various lines of insurance. Our insurance costs run the average taxpayer 59 cents per day. The cost of these expenditures are offset by the amounts employees pay for their medical contributions, which can reach up to 35% of the premium amount. Our statutory expenses include employer taxes as well as pension retirement payments. These cost our average taxpayer 30 cents per day. While Social Security has not had a rate change in years, the employer pension contribution has increased dramatically over the years. The local municipalities continue to pay their full liability each year, but the state does not, which does have an effect on the overall performance of the pension funds. At one time, towns were charged approximately 8% for police and fire retirement and under 4% for public employees. We're now at over 20% for police and 12% for public employees due to state billing. In order for the township to make full payment to the county and schools for their portion of the taxes, we have to charge for billings that we anticipate may not be collected in the current year. This is known as the reserve for uncollected taxes, and this year our reserve for that line item has increased more than $500,000 from last year's calculated amount due to an increase in uncollected taxes in 2018. This costs 47 cents per day. Capital and debt service payments provide for various purchases and improvements. They include the purchase of new vehicles, heavy equipment, dispatch equipment and terminals, police cameras, major building improvements, park improvements, and sewer infrastructure. Due to the topography of the township, the steep roads cause vehicles to have more wear and tear compared to a township with flat roadways. Capital requests are looked at each and every year, and not all requests receive approval. We look to see if equipment can be used for another year, and also see if certain equipment can be purchased used. These costs are spread over the useful lives of the assets. This year, the cost for capital and debt is 90 cents per day. This is largely in part because the township has made an effort to establish a sound capital and debt plan that aggressively pays down debt so that more of your tax dollars are going to pay for improvements and not to pay interest. This plan is estimated to save millions of dollars and put us on a path to pay for things without going into further debt. Public safety costs the average taxpayer 77 cents per day. Public safety includes the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service from the police department and the dispatch center, as well as contributions to 4 volunteer fire departments and 2 volunteer ambulance services. We currently have a shared service with Wantage and Sussex for 911 dispatching, and included in this cost are equipment repairs to the various volunteer departments, hose and fit testing, as well as other state-mandated safety testings. Our fire prevention office, which conducts fire inspections, investigates fires, and teaches our school children about fire safety, is also included in this number. Here is a list of some incredible community outreach programs provided by our police department, some being newly introduced by our new police chief, Dan Young, as a way to engage more with the public and provide services to those really in need in our township. The Department of Public Works consists of road repair and maintenance, fleet maintenance, buildings and grounds, recycling, and the Municipal Services Act reimbursements. As you can see, there are a number of items the DPW takes care of and is inclusive of plowing and salting during snowstorms, as well as maintenance of our roadways and buildings. The cost to taxpayers is 46 cents per day, and a new program called Touch a Truck was implemented last year, giving children the opportunity to engage with our fleet of vehicles. The town has a very active recreation and senior community. Maple Grange Park is a well-known space utilized by many sports leagues, as well as having 2 playgrounds and areas to enjoy picnics and gatherings. Veterans Park provides space for the various softball, baseball, soccer, and horseshoe leagues. At Maple Grange this year, we are planning to replace the 2 rear soccer fields, as well as install fencing and provide adequate walkways. At Veterans Park, we are also looking to continue the ADA-compliant walkway to ensure the park will be available and accessible to the entire community. Listed are the programs that the township runs, as well as programs that the PAL runs through our agreement with them. The cost per day for both recreation and the senior center is 6 cents. The Senior Citizen Center works in conjunction with Sussex County as a nutrition site which offers low-cost lunches to seniors. The Senior Center also offers many classes, including exercise, gardening, crafts, and holiday-themed parties. We have a very active senior community and have seen our numbers increase substantially since we began the center. This is greatly attributed to our wonderful Senior Center director and the 2 incredible hardworking women who work to ensure our programs are inclusive and of the highest quality for our attendees. We also work in conjunction with the county for a senior bus program, which provided over 7,100 rides in 2018. All of these services add up to $4.05 per day for the average taxpayer. Included in these costs are long-term issues such as debt management and a capital plan that removes our reliance on debt for the future. It includes plans that continue to protect our interests throughout the Mountain Creek bankruptcy, foreclosing on old tax title liens on vacant lots so those properties can be sold and put back on the tax rolls, growing our fund balance and increasing efficiency while still providing top-notch services to our residents. We are looking towards the future and appropriating funds accordingly.
Thank you, Donnell.
Very good.
Nice job.
Resolution 19107. May I have a motion to introduce the budget with a public hearing to be held on May 13th?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
I had a few things for discussion.
Okay.
And a few questions.
Excuse me?
And a few questions.
Oh.
The ambulance went down. Why did you reduce the disbursement to the ambulance?
We thought it was equitable since they were receiving more than the fire department were, so we dropped them to that level. It was a reduction of 7% less money, and in view of the fact that they are handling 21% less time with the addition of St. Clair's doing 4 day shifts a week. So we did not think it was significant, but we thought it was equitable that the fire and EMS received the same amount of money.
Yeah, but then the fire's higher.
Excuse me?
Fire, isn't the fire 35,000?
So,
Let me check.
No, fire, they're both the same. All 6 are the same, the 4 fire departments. Ambulance was always a little higher, or I should say as much maybe in some years even as much as 5,000, but I think theirs ambulance came down 1,500.
yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm,
Yeah.
so it's not the same as the fire.
Now they're all the same.
Now they're all the same.
Can we reinstate that?
We definitely can look into that. So the question is, yes, over when it's introduced, we definitely can look into it for you. We just thought it was more to make it equitable, and more fair, since they're available for less time.
I'm just looking at the numbers that we've just seen.
I'm sorry. Oh, you have it in that?
Yeah.
Okay, I was looking at this one.
This we did discuss in our public session.
Thank you.
I can't support a $1,500 cut for either of those two lines. They're our first responders.
Okay. I'll make note of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You had more questions?
Yes, I
Councilmember
do.
Holmes?
Yeah.
Talk a little closer to the microphone. I'm sorry. It's just
Oh,
having a
okay.
hard time picking you up.
I just want to find something in this thing here. Give me 1 minute, if you would. Talk amongst yourselves.
Which thing are you looking for? Do you know which thing you're which
Yeah, I'm
item?
looking for the fire that was in this book, Fire and EMS. That was in this one with the tabs on it, not the bound one. I think the last revised copy we
Because
got.
I put all the pages in my booklet.
And Patrick, just so you know, we will discuss your request.
Thank you.
What were is it the 220, you don't know if it's a 225 tab?
220, oh, the 5 tab you're saying here?
Yeah. Do you recall exactly what it was, or no?
No, not that one.
I'm just saying, because we had a page, the original booklet came out on February 14th, and then we had a page that was updated on the 25th.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 26th, March 26th one. Am I the only one that has questions? Does anybody else?
I have questions.
Okay, go
Oh.
ahead while I look for
May I
this.
have 90 seconds while
Sure.
Councilwoman searches for that? I appreciate the hard work that went into the budget, and especially the patience everyone involved in the administration and the council had with me, as I had several questions as we went through line by line, looking for the best result for the taxpayer. And I'm looking at the uncertainties that we face going forward, and I'm in favor of the aggressive debt repayment plan. I don't think any of us imagined we'd be paying off debts that have been incurred so long ago, so far into the future. But there are so many people that can't afford to pay them down any more aggressively than we already are. So I believe the number was 80. It's an average increase. So this is a compromise. It's not a 100% budget. I'm not 100% in favor of it, but I'm in favor enough of it, from what I know of it, to vote for it. Because I can't vote against our police department, and I can't vote against the recreation department and what they need to keep Vernon healthy. And I look at the senior center and how it's utilized every day, almost all day. And those are the people that already paid their fair share. And that's being used by them. I can't vote against that. I can't vote against safe fields remaining open. I go to Maple Grange Park, and the fields are packed to capacity on most days. It's a bright spot in Vernon. And the accompanying playground and the paths used by families and seniors are used daily. Again, the lot is filled to capacity most nice days. So I'm not voting against any of those folks, and I'm certainly, as I mentioned, not voting against our first responders. So I will vote for this budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Owens?
Just some more questions. So when I look at, let's see here. When I look at the salary and wage lines for certain positions, and I know you sent us an email that people that got their certificate will get $5,000. I'm in agreement with that. So there's 2 department heads that got it. That should just be policy, so it can't be one for one person, one for the other down the line. But when I look in that line item and you take out that money, there's still extra money in the line item for salaries. So I am against paying tax on money that we're not going to use. So do you understand what I'm saying? You're looking at me.
Excuse me, which tab was this?
And I'll use an example. So if you're only going to use $50,000 for a salary, why should there be $58,000 in that line item? And there's quite a few of them there. So if what you sent us in that email is true, well, there's a lot of money that's got to be removed out of those line items that were reserved for salaries, if you're following the email you sent us. You know which email I'm speaking about?
Yes. We're not
So-
doing complete zero budgeting. We need to have flexibility. We don't know what the future's going to bring. We don't know if the council is ever going to put on the agenda and pass a short-term rental agreement. We don't know how much revenue we may need to hire another part-time person. We don't know. If we do that, we might need more hours somewhere along the line for additional fire expenses. Any of the money that's there goes to replenish the fund balance. And our fund balance isn't healthy right now. And for the last 3 years, we've been growing it. So it has no effect on the tax rate. What you're talking about, when you add it up, there is no increase on the tax. When you base it on 20-something million dollars.
When you're figuring out your budget, if so-and-so is making a certain amount of money, why would you put additional in? Because then that means you can give it away as well. Why leave it in the budget? We can only control our salaries by the budget. So why do you have a problem taking it? If everybody gets their 2% and these additional increases, there shouldn't be any more money there. Because what will you do with $5,000 or $6,000 in these line items? So, I mean, that's just me talking, and that's how I feel.
No, that's good that you're voicing your opinion. That's what we're about.
So I think some money needs to be removed, because it does come to several thousand, 20,000 or so, or more. So I think that needs to be changed. And then, when you're doing salaries, I don't think I'm going forward, I don't think you should separate out when somebody's getting a salary from another department, because a taxpayer would never understand that. So when you're taking 20,000 from one department, such as the senior,
The split.
it's split. It shouldn't be, because somebody looking at that would never figure that out. A regular taxpayer would never know. They would think another person is down there, and it should be very clear to the taxpayer what they're paying for.
And just to piggyback on that, actually, when I went over the budget with Councilmember Carreri the first time, and he brought it to my attention, he was looking at recreation and looking at salaries, and I said, okay, you need to add in the seniors. So even knowing and having gone through it, it actually did come up, so, with a council member. Like I said, being new, but still, it was something that, you don't know that it's happening. So unless maybe the salaries, unless it's just running concurrent, or it says the salary's in a certain place and it specifies it, that's it. So.
Yeah, so I think it shouldn't be
That's something I
split.
can remember for next year to let you know, just so that it's clear, so that everybody understands. The salaries are charged to two different departments, so they're still considered two separate departments. I do know some municipalities combine those two departments. It's just how Vernon has it separated. I mean, that would be something that administration could handle if there was ever a combination of those departments.
Sure.
Well, it's not even if it's a combination, but even if it's just referenced on it, so there's no
Right.
chance that somebody's saying, okay, then that at least gives them the opportunity to say, oh, let me go back and let me look at the next page and know that it's the same, the same position. So. Do you have any other comments?
No, it was just that extra money. And let me ask you, I know I'm probably asked you this before, when we had the 80,000 in the ambulance for possible pay from last year, and we removed it, can you just give me the trail of where that money went? It's not sitting in the line item anymore, is it?
Are you, the $80,000 from last year's appropriations, we did cancel that out. So what happens is it's an accounting entry. I cancel it out, and it essentially moves into fund balance. And then provided where your revenues and your expenses are, it could, if you don't have enough revenue, it could take money back out of fund balance and it reduces it. That's kind of the whole point why you cancel out your appropriations if you're not sure if the revenue is coming in.
So when you cancel out an appropriation, then it's moved, the money moves into the fund balance?
Well, it's not money, so it's just, it's not money, it's just an accounting entry, so we're not moving cash. That's,
Right,
there's not
right,
moving
right,
cash. But
right.
essentially what I'm doing is, yes, it's going to fund balance, but again, it's at the end of the year, when you look at your revenues and your expenses, if you don't have enough revenue, it's going to cut into your operations and then your fund balance.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember?
No, it was already said.
Okay. Well, some of the items that were brought up are great comments. Just to kind of go to Mr. Councilmember Carreri's comments, I don't believe voting for, voting against, you're not really voting, in my opinion, for or against a department. Because, you know, when you're dealing with police and things, you're dealing with contracts. So a lot of that's contractual. So they're not, you know, you're not necessarily taking away from anybody. As far as this budget, just so everyone knows, a few weeks ago, we were looking at a $160 increase on a home assessed at $214. The Board of Ed right now, I don't know if they're going to be sharpening their pencil at all, but they're at $190 on a home assessed at $214. So you can go home and check out your assessments and calculate that out. Now, what happened is there was somewhat of a mutual agreement not to introduce our budget on March 25th, and I just looked at it and said $160 is crazy. My comment was $80 is high, but come back at 80. I know that our auditor went back and looked at some of the aggressive numbers that were being, that were in the budget in order to start paying down some of the debt and looking at some other line items, and it came back at that $80. Of course, then my comment was, I guess everyone thought I'd be happy. Then the comment was, well, you got what you asked for. As Councilmember Ohms states, and as we've been reminded time and time again by our attorney, more recently, often, that especially in salaries, it's not taking away from anybody's salary, but in the salary lines, there are numbers that are there. If those are not the numbers of the increases that are being handed out, that are being given, that are being voted on, not saying people don't deserve raises, the 2% pretty much for the last several years have been coming in after the budget. But we're also looking at some increases. However, the budget, the line item in the budget are, in a few of the departments, is higher. And what ends up happening is if you leave $5,000 or $10,000 in that line item, in that department, administration can take that money and can actually give raises to certain individuals, not department heads. So it's not in any of the administration positions, but it can be done. And up until now, I mean, that has not, you know. It's just that it's something that I think, you know, even if emergency services, numbers were deducted from there, but yet the line items and salaries were left higher. So you can't, somebody buzzing. Oh. But, you know, like I said, I think that they should have been adjusted. I think something else should have been adjusted because it's a high number. I mean, we're looking at, I mean, you know, I could appreciate the senior citizens, but it's not just them that will have the issue. It'll be you know, pretty much a lot of the residents across the board, if they're looking at an increase like this. Even if the Board of Ed comes down slightly, it's still a large increase. I mean, and how do we justify that? We know we have the debt. We've had this debt. It's not, you know, any of our faults, but it's been going on for decades. And, you know, we know the wall's coming. But I really think that you should have taken, I asked at the last meeting. I asked if you could go back. Yes, you came down to 80, and that was great. And you really didn't come back with anything else. And I really think the taxpayer, it's, like I said, it's not employees. Employees are getting paid. We passed a temporary budget. Temporary budget carries the town through the end of May. But I'm sorry, I can't support. I think you really needed to go back and take another look at it. It's not taking increases away from people, but it's not cutting services. You know, we're not doing that. But we really have to look at the budget and see what else is in there.
Really, I mean, bonding for the band shell, I mean, that's something that if we really don't think we're going to be doing, we can take that down payment money out.
I think, was that 4,000?
And why would, if you're given an estimate of 100,000, shouldn't it be 10% that goes into the capital fund for down payment?
Statutory calculation for 5%, so it's not even really a full 5%.
Wow, so it only has to be 5%? Okay, I thought all this time it was supposed to be 10.
There is a larger down payment for the recreation fields, though.
But it could be only 5 if you chose to?
Yes, but we're using funds that have been raised to take care of that.
But you could if you wanted to use 5 instead of 10.
Less, but that means
Okay,
you're
no, I'm
getting
just,
more interest.
I'm not saying it would be good, I'm just saying so I understand it. Okay.
And what was our tax increase last year? Like 50 or something, or?
It was 4%, wasn't it 4%?
But it wasn't, dollar-wise, I'm just trying to,
Yeah,
I thought it was like 4 something. Or 3.9 or something.
I mean, we're dealing with the revaluation this year, which, by the way, our tax assessor had a couple information sessions on it, which were helpful, because residents are fearful that that's going to drive their taxes up, and that may not necessarily be the case, but that'll be for next year, but it's not going to be pretty. You know? I mean, like I said, I've said it before, we've had people come in here
this year.
where they're facing an MUA increase at $15 a quarter. Some of the people are on fixed incomes, they just can't do it.
Well, just think of the MUA increases go up, the
I'd like to see
Lake
the, bo-
Association fees go up,
Well-
taxes go up, I mean,
my concern is that what's going to hit also with the Board of Ed, because we don't know where they're going to land. And their increase, their increase is severe.
oh, I agree.
So-
I spoke to 2 people last week, it was very unfortunate, just random, said they're gonna be moving out of Vernon. And not to buy a home in Vernon. I was very upset, and that's the only thing that's gonna keep people here is the low taxes. We have to remain low for people to stay and for people to come here. I know it's not a fair deal with the Board of Ed, but we should have really been working with them all along now.
Well, and I'm not sure, like I said, what else can be done, but it's not, microphone started working all of a sudden? That's in the budget, by the way, new sound system. So, like I said, I'm not sure exactly what can be done, but I'll tell you, I mean, I sat and I went through this book. I mean, we had many revisions, and I did ask for a new copy today just because I need to be able to make sure I had the right numbers. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
know.
would like a, sorry, Gina.
I'll give you a copy.
Thank you.
I only asked for one in case everyone didn't want one.
Yeah, no, that would be good, thank you. So that's the last draft we got. Right, that's what you're
But it's
talking
just
about.
more so to have, to reference back it, to make sure we have everything. And I don't know, I mean, I've talked to residents. I've talked to residents about the reval. I've talked to them about, they always tell me, they're always talking to me about the Board of Education, and I keep asking them to go there. But they'll be here. They will be here because, Vernon Township sends out that tax bill. I even asked the mayor, I said, are there different cards that the tax department can order that really say Board of Education in bold? So, because we don't have any control over their,
I'm okay with taking that hit, personally. I'm okay with it because I think there are more people attracted to our good schools and our recreation than not. And I understand how devastating it is.
I hope I don't have to say I told you so. But it's just a lot of money. And like I said, I'm sure we're all out there speaking to people, but,
It is a lot of money, but we got to try to get our debt, we have to try to get it started, to get it paid down.
We have to start somewhere.
You're absolutely right, and that's not what I'm speaking of.
I know.
But I'm speaking of the other items that are in the budget that should be trimmed.
Yes.
And if I didn't, if there were circumstances that maybe didn't happen where I didn't think the money would be used, I might feel different. But unfortunately, I have reason, sometimes things change. But like I said, I mean, I'm not saying not to pay down the debt. That's obviously been the problem
No.
for years.
But we were sold on that. This is the way to go. So now we're doing a complete 180.
Right.
All the last 3 years, we got a bond for this. We were fighting the bonds, right? We didn't want to bond all
And
these years. But we were told during these presentations, that's the way we have to do to get what we need, and now you're...
And I know the mayor posted something, because somebody asked me about it, and it had to do with that in 2015, we used money that was in the fund, 450,
Bond fund,
to pay off
pension.
the deferred pension that was from 2009. And the reason that was done, because, believe me, we struggled with that, because I did not want to take that money out of it. I thought that was a fund that somebody was just going to go put their hands in. And Bud Jones was probably here then. But what happened is, the state would not allow us to pay a portion of it. It was all or nothing. So in order to save paying the interest on that deferred pension payment that was, like I said, incurred, that somebody did back in 2000, I don't know if it was 8 or 9, we ended up having to pay that debt down. But like I said, it was all or nothing, so we ended up having to pay that off. A lot of these ideas that people come up with, keep borrowing money, money's cheap. Okay, you still have to pay it back. And we've been dealing with that for years. But like I said, we're dealing with, and people are still moving out of their homes. They're still vacating them. It's just that because what's happening now is now we're starting to see a little surge of them having to move out, because now that the banks actually started working on their vacant inventory, they're catching up to the people that they let sit in those homes for years. So we're seeing that happening. But like I said, I just really think that there's other places in here, not the debt, but other expenses that are in here that should be looked at. I know you looked at the enterprise for the cars to try to, cut some costs there if that happens. But like I said, any other comments?
No, I'm in agreement. It's try to get it lowered, and even having the money in those line items that we probably won't use need to come out.
Well, like I said, my concern was, and then there's, did I get an answer on my email today? There was, I guess it's probably not really a huge expense, but I was just wondering about, because we had information on stipends or something that are going to be paid out of the Clean Communities grant.
I haven't made any decision about that at all. And that has no effect on the budget, because that's coming from a grant.
We've dealt with grants before.
How much does the administrator...
What it means? Don't shrug your shoulders. You weren't here. So you don't know what it means.
I
There
don't
was-
know what it means. Could you
Okay,
explain
well-
to the public and me? I'd be interested.
Actually, I bet you the public knows about it. We had a tree grant. And there was an administrative fee that was supposed to be paid of $300, and it turned into $3,000. That's what it was about. So I'm just saying, if it's a stipend to pay to administer a grant, it would be good to know what it is, because it's something the council would vote on. But that's why. So I'm just, no disrespect, but, when you make those comments, we've been through that.
But I didn't know specifically what you were talking about. I didn't know whether the public did either.
The public knows. Just, many of the public know.
Who administered it last year?
It was administered last year by Howie and Jane. We used to,
No, wasn't it?
who was it?
We paid a fee to someone from SCUMA to do it
That's right.
for us.
Was that the
That's right, I'm sorry.
$250?
You what? I'm sorry, you paid somebody from
We
SCUMA?
didn't have anybody certified.
That's right.
We had to utilize somebody from SCUMA because they had somebody who was certified. They offer that service to communities that don't have anybody who's certified.
So what
So
changed this
This is
year?
a certification that one of our people went and got.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
but
So
So
if
one
I-
person has certified to administer it.
Well, to go over to do the budgeting and to certify that the reports are correct. We also have another employee that sets up scheduling for probably somewhere in the area of up to 50 groups that go out to do the actual work for the clean communities. Various groups that can earn up to $500 to go out and do the road cleanups. So that's what the intent of the grant is, and the consideration that we're giving to a possible stipend.
Was that the resolution recycling tonnage report? Was that it? Is that what you're talking about at SCUMA?
I believe it is, yes.
Because I'd have to look at
Have to,
the resolution itself, but I think that was like $250 that we paid SCUMA.
That's correct.
Was that?
That's correct.
Because I happen to be looking at SCUMA things, and that came up. I just happened to, so for SCUMA to do that, whatever that report, how they were doing it, that was $250. So I don't know if there's anything other than that that gets. Let me just see, I have some little notes. Just checking my little stickies on my budget here. All right, any other comments, any other questions? No? Okay, roll call?
No, because I don't think it's ready to be introduced yet. I think we could maybe get it down, and I'd like to see that salary lines changed. There's quite a bit of money just hanging out there. So, no.
Councilmember Carreri?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
No. Next, we have the introduction of Ordinance 1909, capital ordinance providing for a traffic messaging trailer by the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey, appropriating therefore the sum of $18,500, and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund of the township. This permits funds from the capital budget for the purchase of a messaging trailer. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1909 with a public hearing to be held on April 22nd, 2019?
Motion.
May I have a- Any comments? Any?
No, finally, that's my comment.
Finally?
I'm trying to get this for the police since the first time I sat here. in
Was this
the
number around
first budget.
13,000 last year, though?
No, the same.
Was it the same? Okay. Roll call?
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Carreri?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1909 with a public hearing on April 22nd.
Next, we have the public hearing, second reading of an ordinance, ordinance 1908, ordinance amending the salary ordinance for non-union employees. This adjusts some ranges and removes salaries for vacant positions. May I have a motion to open this ordinance 1908 to the public?
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there anyone from the public that would like to step up, have any comments on this ordinance? Please do so. Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1908?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Wait, I'm sorry.
For a second.
Did you say 8?
1908. I did.
No, I'm sorry.
Put your glasses on.
Oh, jeez. Okay, sorry. Can you start over?
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Just very quickly, I feel like we outsource things far less important than setting salary ranges, and I still maintain that we should have a professional, a compensation professional looking at all of the salary ranges, not just picking out a few. I know we spent many hours going over this. Thank you.
I think I agree with Pat.
Okay, you're going to make me do it now.
Okay.
So, what public may not be aware of, and I'm not so sure that administration recalls this, but in 2018, okay, our former CFO created a 5-year plan. She created a spreadsheet for 5 years. She listed the positions for non-union, she listed their names, and she listed their current salaries. And the reason for doing this is because she was dealing with, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 different ordinances, so every year that would come up, she would have to review all the ordinances to make sure that the salaries were not exceeding the current ordinance for that particular person in that particular job, because some of them had been here quite some time. So in doing so, our former CFO said, I'm going to try to make my life easier. I'm going to devise a 5-year plan. So when she took the employee in that position, she took their current salary, and what she did was, she worked it out for a 5-year plan. She added 2% on to their ranges, or to their salaries for 5 years, which in fact brought some of the ranges up. Now, it just so happens that our CFO left Vernon. Our court administrator retired in January, and our tax assessor is retiring on May 1st. They were some of the ranges that were higher, but like I said, they had been here quite some time. Through experience, the ranges went up. The CFO and the tax assessor's range they end at $110,000. So when I recommended that we tighten up these ranges, it was really to be responsible. Because once again, you know, it's up to us to make sure that things are kept in sync, that things are not getting out of proportion. And I'm not saying that there were a few years ago where a lot of different things were happening, and the only way to control it is through the council. For some reason, there were different rumors saying some horrible things actually, but that we were hurting employees. And what I'd like to say, first of all, is our tax assessor is retiring. This ordinance actually has a provision at the end of it. It says, "This ordinance shall take effect 20 days after final passage, approval, and publication after adoption by the Township Council, and shall be retroactive to January 1st, 2019, with the exception of the tax assessor, which shall be effective May 2nd, 2019. So our tax assessor is not subject to this ordinance. Our tax assessor is not, pension's not going to be hurt, pay's not going to be hurt. The provision was in here to make sure that the employee was protected. We had a court administrator that retired in January. The court administrator's range, if I find it on here.
Bottom.
Yeah,
60
sure,
to
bottom.
85. Oh, on there.
Where is it on the bottom? Because I don't even see it here.
Oh, different paper.
Oh, this one. Our court administrator's range currently is 60 to 90. I recommended that one be brought 60 to 85. It's not a big deal. Actually, what happened was, our deputy court administrator was moved up into that position, was promoted in January. Now, the court administrator's range being 60 to 90 did not necessarily mean that the deputy who was being promoted, who was already earning $66,000 and thereabouts, I believe she was promoted into that position in January at $73,500. She was above the range for the court administrator. But there's still no reason not to pull that back. It's being responsible. If we get to the point that we start to get to that top of the range, the council then can open that up. We're currently looking at hiring a tax assessor. We have a range of 75 to 110. If the range is pulled back to 65, it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean that that position, or even 60, it doesn't mean that that position or the person going into that position is going to start there, because we already have the proof of what happened with the court administrator. So I'm not sure what all the fear is, other than just having these wide ranges left out on the table for future councils or promises to be made. That shouldn't be happening, and that goes hand in hand with our budget. It's just being responsible. That's all it is. So if it's not affecting anything, I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, there was actually, and just to further go to the police, somebody had asked about the police chief. There is actually a statute. It's 40A:14-179, base salaries of police chief and deputy chief. This states that a police chief or a deputy chief cannot make less than anyone right under their command. So if anyone questions the police chief's salary and why that didn't happen, you know, why it wasn't a lot less, it's because it's a statute. However, even when we introduced this last year, there were adjustments made. As a matter of fact, the recommended range for the police chief at that time was 145 to 175. Not that it did anything or would matter, but we did pull that one back to 135, just to try to show the public we're trying, we're open to this. But to just leave these ranges, you know, like I said, I don't understand why administration felt so passionate about the fact that these ranges couldn't be adjusted down. There was a plan. There was a plan for 5 years, and it was employee-specific for their pays at that time. And if I feel that the council needs to be responsible and take a look at them every once in a while, even if it is within a year, so be it. Anyone else?
Well, nothing's changed. It's a range. Nothing's changed.
If nothing's changed, then why do it?
Why not?
When someone leaves, so every time someone leaves, we're going to check the range?
No, Mark. See,
I'm just asking.
Well, it really depends on the range. But you see, again, Mark,
Okay.
there were circumstances that occurred that actually brought this, and it should be of a concern to all the council members, because there were instances of things that happened where it should have been, that if it had been addressed, it wouldn't be a problem. But the ranges were put in that spot for those employees. And then for the employees, by the way, since I did the homework, 2015, their retroactive pay only, after the budget passed, it only went back to July 1st. So employees were kept from even getting a raise back to January. That was held at the August 10th meeting. The 2016 salaries that were retroactive back to January 1st, that didn't get voted on until November 14th, 2016. Salaries for 2017, that was retroactive back to 2017, and that was voted on at the June 26th meeting. 2018 salaries. They were retroactive to January 1st. They were voted on at the May 31st meeting. And why do I bring this up? Because I've been told that I'm holding up raises for employees, because we thought it would be responsible to have a budget first. So it really didn't matter what some of us were trying to accomplish. There was this underlying toe of, you must be doing it for a reason. I don't know. I think we owe it to the taxpayers. I think we at least have to, whether it changes anything or not, at least they know we're trying, instead of just pushing it through.
Council President?
Yes.
Excuse me, can I ask the township attorney a question with regard to the tax assessor position?
Why?
Because we advertised the position that we're going to be interviewing 5 people for at the range that it currently is. Would we run into a legal issue with that we advertise it? That's what I meant. I would like to ask the township attorney.
Then they can turn down the job.
Well, you'd have to just notify them and probably re-notice for the position, once the range is adjusted, if it is adjusted.
Yeah. And if you end up, and this is something that I've discussed with council members, if you end up with somebody that comes along and they say, oh, gee, we have the mirror replacement of what we currently have, well, that may warrant more money because of the experience. And that actually, and if anybody would like, I don't think this is this document doesn't have anything that's a secret on it, right?
No, this is, what are you talking, this or that?
This thing.
Oh.
There's nothing on here confidential.
I'd have to look at it.
It has names, positions, salaries, projection of the rate, and the ordinance number. So there's nothing in here, and other than my notes. I mean, this is something that anyone from the public can get, But like I said, it was a plan, and the plan now is turning into a fixture. And with respect to your, and actually I spoke to the attorney about trying to get a consensus, on kind of, and the attorney had a comment on that, you kind of stay within the realm of your area.
Look, I think the Faulkner Act is quite clear on salaries at NJSA 40:69A-43A. The mayor shall, subject to any pertinent civil service requirements and any pertinent contractual obligations, and within the general limits of the municipal budget, fix the amount of salary, wages, or other compensation to be paid to employees of the administrative departments of the municipal government, except that the salary, wages, or other compensation paid to the directors of each department shall be fixed by the council, subject to subsection C. The state legislators made it clear there are certain salaries that the council gets to set and certain salaries that the mayor gets to set.
So when you leave the money on the table in the budget, the mayor gets to go ahead and reset those salaries to the positions he wants to. When you tie the council's hands by leaving the ranges open, you're now doing, you're doing virtually the same thing, because it's like, oh, well, we have this much money. Well, like I said, it all has to do with experience. And as far as I'm concerned, there are ranges for a reason. And we have always brought the ranges up. But last year we brought the ranges up because that's what our CFO recommended, and it was to make life easier. Not because it was supposed to just be that way.
I would just like to see an unbiased professional who works in compensation for a living.
But that's not feasible when you have...
We have an attorney here.
Exactly, and you have state law. So somebody doing this for a living is not going to trump state law.
No, but they can advise an unbiased opinion.
Yeah, that's... And it's subject to change by any council, so...
So is what we're
Exactly.
doing now.
That's what I'm saying, is what you're recommending is let's go spend money on somebody to do an evaluation to tell us where people should be paid. And if they're paid, if it comes back that they're overpaid, what are you going to do then?
They can sign a waiver.
What are we going to do if they're overpaid?
Is it sign away?
They can sign off on a waiver.
And but, like I said, I know it sounds good, but it's not, and when I had the discussion with our attorney, it was, well, you know, you really kind of need to stay within your area. And I've pulled out as much information as I could and gave it to the council, but have you heard enough? Yes, roll call.
Councilmember Boones?
Yes, to pass it.
Councilmember Carreri?
No.
Councilmember Van Tassen?
No.
Councilmember Alberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass ordinance 1908.
So now I'll say, so what does that mean? Our mayor said last meeting that he would veto it. And in order for him, that he would not sign it, he would veto it. We would need 4 council members to vote yes in order for it. So now it's up to the mayor on whether or not he wants to sign it and do the right thing. No, at the last meeting, when we voted, it was 4-1 to pass it. And the mayor made a comment and said that he would veto it. Well, he could veto it, but 4 votes overrides a veto. Okay, today it was 3-2. So now it'll be up to the mayor on whether or not he chooses, you know. Thank you. We move on to our second set of public comments. May I have a motion to open to the floor?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Is there anyone from the public that would like to step up and have any comments? Please do so.
Sally Ringo, Ryan. Wow, where do I begin? Are you having fun yet, Mr. Carreri? Okay. So back in the old days, when we were more transparent here, we had draft copies of the budget on the table for the residents. So it's kind of hard to follow along when we're really in the dark. But my one quick comment would be that the decrease for the ambulance squads, I think, is so minuscule, yet it really can hurt their budget a lot. And if we're talking raises and maybe hiring part-timers and stipends and who knows what's going to come down the pike, bonding, whatever, please reconsider not cutting that lousy $1,500 that might mean so much to them. Okay? That was a little aside. And by the way, nice campaign speech, Miss Murphy, because every other budget besides this one, you rubber stamped for Mr. Shortway without any question and increased the budget by adding employees and big raises. You can shake your head, Mr. Van Tassel, because you weren't here, but I was, okay? And every other budget you rubber stamped, am I right? No problems. Tonight, it's a whole different song and dance, just my observation, sorry. But I do want to address the council comments of Jean Murphy at the end of the March 11 meeting. And tonight, I do direct my words to you, Jean.
Great.
First of all, because you get the last words at the council comments doesn't make them correct. Okay? Nothing to do with you, Mr. Carreri. I apologize. I'm going to go to the topic one more time. Regarding the appointment process, okay? There was no process. Once again, Jean confabulates the story to fit the square peg in the round hole. The process should have been a public announcement, calling for nominations, calling for letters of request to come in for candidates. That's the way it's normally and should be done. And I've talked to other municipalities and other attorneys, by the way, and that would be the proper way to do it.
Do you have a site?
And that was not done. And at the next council meeting, the nominations would be taken from the floor, and everyone who stepped forward to offer themselves would be recognized. Not that it was decided backdoor, name on a resolution, come out, vote, thank you, goodbye. No, that's not the way it's done. And I want you to know that you really need to know the process. And we have a lot of problem with process around here, okay? But that being said, I have another subject I'd like to address. That, Ms. Murphy, you continue to perpetuate the misinformation that former Councilman Dan Kadish was not intending to run for mayor this November. Why do you do that? You do that because the implications of his intentions show that he didn't support you if you choose to run. In fact, you went as far as to say he was nearing 80 years old and wasn't running for anything. I think it's deplorable that you continue to capitalize on Dan Kadish, putting words in the mouth of a man who is not here to correct your lies and misinformation. You disrespectfully badgered, nagged, and forced your opinions on him for all the years you served together. In fact, you even badgered him about this budget when he was lying in a hospital bed. Okay? That's pretty ruthless, actually. So, no, Gene, he had enough of you. So much so that even at nearing 80 years old, he was willing to run for mayor to save Vernon from you. He told me that, and he told others that. Maybe Mr. Carreri was told that even. At Dan's wake, his son told me that. His son told me that his last conversation with his father was that he wanted to run for mayor of Vernon. Okay? So please don't be speaking for Mr. Kadish anymore. Stop misleading people, all right? As you try to cash in on his political popularity and legacy for yourself. You have no conscience. Your phoniness, your lies, your pretense to care for others is despicable. I can't change you. But can't you let Dan rest in peace? He deserves that. Thank you.
Yes.
I just have a question I'm not going to get up, please. When can we get a copy of the real budget with the real numbers and not a cost for a cup of coffee version? It should be available now.
Right.
Excuse me?
So if I put in an Oprah, I will get it.
You don't have to have an Oprah request for it. You can have it tomorrow.
Yeah, didn't we used to make copies and put them out?
Okay, I didn't think so,
It should
but
be available.
I didn't think so. I'm very disappointed that it wasn't on the table. I've never known a governing body in Vernon that introduced a budget without putting copies on the table for the public. So I'll put it in Oprah anyway, but thank you for saying I don't need one. I'll expect it then. Thank you, that's all.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to step forward, have any comments?
But didn't, wait a second.
No. Public comment, we're in public comment.
Oh, sorry.
We're in public comment, Sandy.
Okay,
Thanks.
but I thought we made copies and put them out.
Good evening.
Have one tonight.
Good evening. My name is Martin O'Donnell. It's 5 Casco Road up in Highland Lakes. I'm in an organization that you all know, PAID. I'm on the board of directors. I'm chairman of the board. And I just wanted to come up here. I think I'm going to end this on a little bit happier note than what we've seen here. This is exciting. But on behalf of the board of directors of PAID, I'd like to thank the Vernon governing body for the support that you guys have given us. In particular, Mayor Shortway, Town Council President Gene Murphy, Councilman Carreri, and also the police department, for keeping us safe during our rallies and for your ongoing assistance and support during these rallies and some of our fundraisers when it comes to the illegal dumping of soil, recycled material, debris, and solid waste over at 3 Silver Spruce. Okay. And also Mike Fury, also from the Environmental Council, for helping us out, and for Mayor Shortway and Mayor Fury for supporting Bill S-1683 down in Trenton on February 14th. Even though we still have a long journey, we've learned a valuable lesson, okay, that together we're a lot stronger, and working together we get a lot more done, and we're a lot more powerful when it comes to Trenton and the DEP, okay? Collaborating takes time, okay, but together the citizens and government work together and we get things done, and we've shown that, proved that. Now, this illegal dumping thing with the soil is affecting all of Sussex County at this point. Okay, I'm sure you all saw the ad in the Herald about Franklin, and they're starting to do something about it.
Frankfurt.
Oh, was it Frankfurt?
Frankfurt.
I'm sorry. So we at PAID have decided to come and try and assist the county as a whole. So what we're doing is we're going to be sponsoring a meeting on May 16th, okay, for the mayors, the town council, and the citizens throughout the entire county. All right. We have buy-off by our freeholders. We're going to have them as a guest speaker. Mike Fury is also going to be a guest speaker. And I'm hoping to, but this is not an official announcement, to have Josh Gottheimer there. So put it on your calendar. I hope you all will attend, but I guess not all.
Did you say what time?
Then it'll be a quorum.
Where?
We're not sure yet. It's to be determined.
Okay.
You'll be able to see it on the Facebook page, the website, and also the Herald will be running an article on it. So we're getting a lot of exposure for this. We're expecting anywhere from 150 to 200 people. All right. We're sending out personalized letters to the mayor and town councils of those towns around Sussex County. So again, I'd like to thank you for your support over the years. I've been a short-term resident, but I've heard about from the people on the board of directors of the long-term support that we've received from everybody here. And it's greatly appreciated. And I think we've made some leaps and bounds in this in a very short period of time. All right, but the job's not done yet, but we're not either. So I'd like to thank you very much. And I'd like to just say one other thing. The reason I moved into this town is because of the schools, okay? And I said this at the Board of Education meeting a week and a half ago, whenever it was. And I toured the schools when I was looking for a place to live and was impressed by some of the high school programs. And now being here for 2 years, I'm impressed by the teachers. There was an issue at the school that needed to be taken care of rather quickly. And I will say that the administration at the schools took care of this problem swiftly, fairly, and I don't think I could have done it better myself. And I don't typically say that to too many people, so. But again, thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that?
I'm Andrew Pitsker, also part of the group continuing, and as Martin has mentioned, we want to thank everybody for the support, but I think one of the things I like to share with everybody is a lesson as a concerned citizen, but also working with government. I've come here since 2008 when we started the cell phone tower piece, trying to work and communicate. And I think it's refreshing that I learned the lesson, and I hope our citizens do, is to be part of this process. Talk, communicate. It doesn't have to be an argument all the time. Sitting down and having disagreements, at the end of the day, you walk out and learn something more. So I urge citizens as well to be part of it more so. I don't have to agree with you, Patrick. I went to a Democratic meeting as a Republican. They didn't kick me out, did they? Close, but they did not. But we had a lot of fun, and I did learn something. I hope I will, as a citizen, encourage others to do the same. So thank you again for your support. Harry, we had a good time in Trenton.
Yes, we did.
I think we learned something and more to come up. But Gene and Pat, thank you again for being there. But I encourage the rest of the council, help us. We have a lot of illegal dumping that's going on. It's just not 3 Silver Spruce, and we're combating each and every one of them. And this program at May 16th is important, that we get the other towns involved, because there is power in the people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather.
Good evening, Mike. My name is Mike Fury, 44 Sand Hill Road, Vernon, New Jersey. I'm here representing the Greenway Action Advisory Committee. As you all know, we've been working hard on a lot of different projects. One being, and Martin mentioned something about cooperating and working together, and that's something that we reach out to that group and we work together with them, and we solved a very serious problem. We went down to Trenton with the mayor, and I was amazed of the impact that you can have if you speak up. And when you speak up and get your opinion out there, the legislators did listen to us, and we got something done. We solved a pretty serious issue, and I really truly believe that that issue with the dirt is going to resonate throughout the entire state. So I think Vernon should be proud of the fact that we were able to work together as a community. So we still need to work together as a community. We've been working on these trail systems for a long time. The Greenway Committee is putting on a farmer's market April 20th, and we're going to have it every month. A lot of work has been put into that. Part of the Greenway's Advisory's mission is to look at the trail systems, to look at economic development, to try to do something about the town that we live in. So we put a plan together. We've been working hard for 3 years on a town center trail. And what we're looking to do from the council, we want the council to continue to support that effort. We need some money to complete the construction of that project, approximately $185,000. The mayor a month ago did a great presentation where he laid out exactly how that money is going to be spent. I think it was pretty clear that the voters passed a referendum to support spending money towards these recreational efforts. And what we're looking for this council is to continue to support our efforts. This Greenway Committee has worked pretty hard. We volunteer a lot of hours. We know how all the hard work that it puts into making these trails. It's pretty brutal. So we do need that money to support our efforts, and we're looking for the council to continue that support and hopefully put that on a future agenda so we can move forward and get this plan done. We've been working on this greenway and trails for over 20 years. It's been a vision of many. It's been voted by a lot of people. It's been supported by a lot of people you see here tonight, and we want you guys to continue to support that. So please support us, and let's move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public?
Hi, I'm Joyce Brensinger from the Rec Board, and I just want to say I understand the budget woes we have, but I want to impress upon you how important those fields are at Maple Grange to the young people in our community. They're used almost constantly, and I was here before we had turf fields, and I can tell you the fields, grass fields can't be used constantly. They're usually bare spots, poor conditions, can't be used when it's drizzling. Our fields and that park are the envy of other towns. People that come here are very complimentary about our Maple Grange Park, and I do hope that you will take that into consideration when you're making your budget decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that have any comments?
Craig Williams from Glenwood. I've been working on the trail systems before we were working on trail systems.
You had hair? No.
I had hair. I was better looking, but that's another thing. Anyway, the initial trails layout, design, and vision was in large part mine, and it's continuing to get fleshed out. We're making some genuine progress, especially over the last 3 years, and things are looking up. I think we're reaching out to volunteer groups to help us out, and we're getting a lot of that from some of the local contractors as well, men and equipment. But that alone is not going to get us where we need to go. What I see ahead in terms of what I've mapped out is almost a 20-year program of building this thing out, piece by piece, section by section, connecting the dots. And in order to connect the dots, we need to start, and support in that action would be greatly appreciated for all the people who've put as much time in as we all have. And so I thank you for that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public? Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor's comments?
Thank you. I would like to point out and thank our engineer, Corey Stoner, who wrote a DOT grant. We were awarded $220,000 from the Department of Transportation Municipal Aid Program for Lake Pochuck road improvements. We also will work on Warwick Turnpike also to improve, because that road condition is pretty poor also. My last comment is Michelle Downton and our Recreation Committee, who does a fantastic job, announced that our pavement to pinwheel trail hiking program will begin on April 16th. It is a free program. Registration forms and maps can be obtained at www.vernontwip.com. You can also contact Ms. Downton at her township email, which is mdownton@vernontwip.com, for more information. So we are about the trails. We've been pushing it as a marketing economic sustainability, and we're hoping to get people that aren't used to hiking in our own community out there. Again, it's free. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council comments? Council Member Orberger? You done?
Yes.
Okay. Council Member Carreri?
Couple of comments. Just, again, to continue with a little bit of better spirited information. Mayor Shortway, GAC Vice Chair Craig Williams, and I had an opportunity last Thursday to address the Scout leadership of Sussex County. This was all of the Scout leaders, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and there were some Eagle Scouts in the room. And we discussed how the trail open space referendum passed last November, and we listened to the opinions of the benefits that the trail could have. All of our trails, really, from service projects running the gamut from Cub Scouts up to Eagle Scout projects. And the maintenance that will address some of the littering concerns that we've seen and heard. Some of the Cub packs talked about adopting areas of the trails, which is really encouraging. And this, could include keeping the trails clean and maintained, as well as providing opportunities for Scouts to earn awards. There are a lot of Boy Scout of America awards that could be earned during this time. So this is a win-win. So every day that goes by with an incomplete trail system is one more day that we're not bringing grant dollars back to Vernon. As we sit here right now, we have just lost a matching grant fund of approximately $200,000. And there have been questions brought up about what we are doing to improve the financial situation in Vernon. So this also ties into perhaps our next budget. So I will ask the council to join me and take this issue up at our next meeting, even as we consider the budget and other heavy responsibilities. Thank you.
Councilmember Ohms?
No comment.
Actually, I would like to comment on Councilmember Carreri's issue about the trails. It was recommended that the council, by Councilmember Carreri, because a few weeks ago, the mayor asked if there were two people that would go walk the trail with Greener by Design and the engineer and be able to see where the proposed trail would be going. So Councilmember Van Tassel and Carreri went. And Councilmember Carreri suggested, he says, it might be a good idea to have Bob Kinase from Greener by Design come and do a presentation. Well, the next thing that happened is I was being asked to put a resolution on tonight for the trail, for the money for the trail. I think that some of the other council members also shared their view with the mayor, and that we have the budget. Are we talking about the trail, or are we talking about the budget? The budget is a very important issue. So you cannot take away from the budget and have the trail. It's only fair to the public that we have the presentation. It's only fair to the other council members that we have the presentation. Now, depending on what comes up at the next meeting, again, it's all to have the information, but if you have too, you cannot concentrate. And that's the problem, is that you see some councils, you see some boards, what they do is they end up having so much on the table that they're not paying attention to the real issues because they're too busy just pushing things through. So I will be recommending to have Greener by Design come and do the presentation. I know the mayor had a presentation, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so, but if two of the council members were afforded this other presentation, which, like I said, Councilmember Carreri recommended it should be here. It should be here for the public because, yes, we did put that referendum on the ballot, and it did pass. But it passed, and the people would like to see a plan. To just take the money and to just run with it, again, that's not necessarily what everybody voted for. They want to see what's happening. Nobody here is against the trail. I think well,
But don't forget, we even voted to do the engineering, so it's going forward.
It's going.
It is going forward. Like you said, no one's against it.
Right. As a matter of fact, we had the same resolution presented to us January, thank you. And it was for a little bit more money, and council member that's not here today, he was the one that actually recommended that it be cut up in pieces and and pass the engineering first, get that going, and then the other, because it was giving the appearance that it was being pushed too quickly. like I said, nobody's against it, but once you vote on it, it's kind of takes grows its own arms and legs. And the people still, as much as they voted for it, they still like us to be responsible on how it's happening. So depending on what we have on our budget, on our agenda next time, like I said, with having a presentation and having the budget, you know, it would be great if people can make it to the meeting for both. So can't promise, and we shouldn't be voting on the resolution until we see the presentation. Like I said, these two council members had the opportunity to go on the walk, to get all the information, to digest it. We've tried to take the route of, you know, look at the sewer agreement in 2012. Let's talk about it in executive and let's go pass it in 20 minutes. We're trying to get away from that. So just to comment on. Yeah. Again, I'd just like to thank our tax assessor, Lynn. She had 2 informational sessions on Friday, one at the senior center and then in the afternoon, and then one here at night. And a couple questions I have is, I know that administration, I think the mayor and attorney met with Highland Lakes regarding that path, and I spoke to Jack McLaughlin. He said that you're working on some type of a resolution.
We're actually waiting for information from Highland Lakes that we haven't received since the meeting.
So there's an agreement that's...
There's no, I mean...
Well, I'm just saying you're working on an agreement, and this has to do with the path that they have up there.
They're supposed to present a proposal to us.
Okay.
But we haven't received it yet.
Right, but there is communication, so I'm just...
Yes, absolutely.
And then the other thing is, I was just wondering, whatever happened, the wall in Lake Panorama, has there ever been any, did anything ever happen with that? Is that done? Is it being addressed?
We were to meet with the Lake Association. They have the same council as Highland Lakes. We have not been able to schedule any meeting with them. And I don't believe that the Lakes communicated to their attorney what outcome they would like to see happen.
Right, because I mean, that's been lingering since last year. And again, a lot of time goes by, and regardless of what happens, I'm sure they'd like to know what they're doing also.
Well, they need to tell us what they want to do.
Well, but like I said, it's still, you know, I think the town, the zoning office was the one that stopped it, so I think something has to be done. It can't just be left in limbo. And then the other item was, we had Chris Hordyke here a few meetings ago. He was questioning that
Yeah, regarding the
Brook Hollow easement.
Easements, but I haven't heard anything from him since then. I've taken a look at the agreements, and I don't believe they support the allegations here.
Well, that was really all you needed to do, was kind of just let the council know, because I think we gave the council copies of that, because it stated that in the back of that property, the developer would give an easement, but it would be for fire, for ambulance. It was not ever supposed to be used as a road.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering, I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, because it would be good just to publicly have an update for the resident that came here, because that's kind of how we left it, was that you would give an update. And other than that, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.